Chiefs win the Super Bowl.
Chiefs win. Cry, Eagles, cry.
Great, excited to be back in the league.
You know, every day I got the Three Stooges in the studio with me is a good fucking day.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
So let's make sure he gets that bag.
Frauds! Woo!
Justin's way ahead in picks. That's all that you need to fucking know.
Show's over.
Show's over. We're going home.
I would like to welcome you back to another page of the Playbook Sports Podcast.
Going really fast.
But that transition, so Todd Mcshay today Todd Mcshay released his full first round and second round mock draft. I haven't gone through it more than just a couple of picks. You guys haven't seen anything from it, so this is kind of a live reaction to it. I'm just going to read through like the first five. We can talk about anything wild and go from there. First overall, CJ Stroud to Carolina. I think that's probably a lock.
Yeah.
Pick number 2, Bryce Young, Houston.
Yeah.
I think that's your second lock.
Yep.
And then this is actually something I had mocked. So it's good to know, Todd, that you're listening to our podcast and you're taking what I say seriously. Because in my mock draft, I had the Colts trading to 3. Colts trade to 3 in this one. Although it's not to get CJ Stroud, it's to get Anthony Richardson because CJ Stroud's gone. So he's got them moving up and taking him at 3. Arizona at 4, going with Will Anderson Jr., who they would have taken at 3 anyway. So this is a good trade for them. And then pick number 5, Seattle Seahawks, Jalen Carter, man of the hour here. So of those first 5 picks, I really think that Tyree Wilson goes at 5. I don't think Jalen Carter goes at 5 to Seattle. But what do you guys think about those first 5? Which one's your favorite? Which one's your least favorite of those picks if you had to pick one?
Well, I think 1 and 2 are locks.
Same. I think those are probably locked in.
I love Arizona trading back, still getting
Same.
Anderson.
So smart of them to do that.
Because it's also dependent on what's Colts going to be trading though for one spot.
Right.
But they're also getting their quarterback, so how much is an impact? It's going to be interesting because they're going to have multiple phone calls for that number 3.
Raiders.
But it's also, do you give away, it's a scenario where if you fall back past 5, do you give it Will Anderson to the Seahawks?
Right.
In this scenario, though, I almost like Jalen Carter to Seattle. Thinking about it, Pete Carroll, his last couple of years, that's a good guy to go and help a young guy grow up.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been here, done that. He's a legend coach. I mean, he's got the repertoire, you know what I mean? He's been here, done that at the end of the day. And he can help this guy grow up a little bit. And just the atmosphere of Seattle, when you look at that locker room, they got the biggest game of the year coming up. And they got to roll. Everyone's rolling. I mean, Pete's rolling around on a scooter. Everyone's joking around. Don't get me wrong, they got blown out by the 49ers. But I don't think it's because of the locker room antics. But you just go look at that place, and it's good locker room, good chemistry. Yeah. It's a good organization to be in, unless you're Russell Wilson, because he wants to be his own organization.
Right. He wants.
Jalen Carter come in, have a old guy help him. Yeah. Grow up a little bit, maybe get into the league, make a name for himself. I could see Seattle going Carter. I like Tyree Wilson there though as well. I mean, he's a freak athlete. Going to be a stud, and could be better than Anderson, which is insanity.
Yeah, he really could. He really could.
Insanity. But I do like Jalen Carter to Seattle.
Same. I think the most interesting one is Anthony Richardson at 3 to the Colts. He could be. I think it's fair to say Anthony Richardson has the highest ceiling of any quarterback in the draft, and without a doubt has the lowest floor of any quarterback in this draft. He could be out of the league in 3 years, or he could be a star in the league in 3 years, like. And Shane Steichen's offense, I think, will work well with him. It's a Jalen Hurts style offense. Yep. Now, he doesn't have the weapons that Jalen Hurts does. You know, there's no Devontae Smith. Exactly. There's no A.J. Brown there. You don't have the best offensive line in football. And you don't have a defense getting you the ball back all the time. So I'm interested to see how that one goes. I did like the pro day. Everyone was talking about this throw that he made where he hit the roof. Yeah. I don't think that's that crazy. I mean, can I do it? Yeah. No. Let's not get it twisted, people. I'm not saying, oh, it's simple, I can go do it. No. But can he do that and put it on a dot? Yeah. That's the important. Everybody can throw the ball far in the NFL, guys. Even noodle arm Tua can throw it 55, 60 yards in the air. We've seen him do it in a game, but he drops it in the bucket.
Float there.
It did, but it gets there. It gets where he wants it to go. But you know, can Richard it's wobbling a little bit as it gets there? It's losing steam, huh?
Hey, it's what gets there though. It's how he's gone.
Right. But if you can put it where you wanted to put it, great. But can Anthony Richardson do that? College tape would say maybe not.
Yeah.
But he's got it. Obviously, he's a freak. And it'll be an interesting decision what the Colts do at 3. Do they feel like they need to move up? And this one, he has them giving up pick 79 to get up there. Yeah, that's probably worth it.
I think that is
worth guarantee, especially if you love one quarterback more than the other.
It just also depends on what do the Colts have to offer to get Arizona to bite on what, say, a Tennessee's offering or Vegas is offering. Right. Because if it's Tennessee at 11, what they're at, I think it's 11. They have to trade a good bit to go up to 3. You know what I mean? Because you're missing out on a couple of these guys. Don't get me wrong. And most likely still get a very elite talent on the defensive side of the ball if you wanted Arizona at 11. But you're not getting Will Anderson, who is the best.
You're not getting Tyree Wilson.
Yeah, exactly. And then, I mean, if he's in the conversation, Carter, you know what I mean? You got to hope someone falls maybe to a position that you need. But it's also what's the capital? What is it worth
Right.
for an Arizona team that it's questioned right now? Kyler Murray, I mean, he's a good quarterback, but if things don't go well, he's out of there in 2 years.
Yeah,
You
done.
know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
because if they don't have success, it's just going to be, man, we paid this guy and there's no success, he's got to go.
Yeah, coach is gone, so he's the
Yeah,
next one.
exactly.
You
I
can't
mean,
blame the coach
no,
anymore.
Not again. I mean, if you do, then Murray had better been playing out of his skull. You know what I mean?
Being
So
insane.
it's just, and he's a defensive guy, but it's also, I like them staying in the front four. I like the Colts moving up one.
Yeah, agreed.
Because if they don't, though, they're stuck with Levis.
Right.
If someone's moving
Fourth
up to
best
3.
quarterback. Someone's
Arizona
moving up to
is
3.
gone out of 3.
I
They're
agree.
gone. Just
I
how
agree.
far are they willing to go back?
Moving forward, pick 6, Detroit, Tyree Wilson. Pick 7, Raiders, Devin Witherspoon. Surprised me a little bit. Pick 8, Atlanta, Christian Gonzalez. Like
Okay.
that. Pick 9, Bears, Peter Skoronski. And pick 10, Eagles, Lucas Van Ness. So I like Detroit taking Tyree Wilson. I really think they need a corner, though, especially when they just took Aiden Hutchinson
Yeah.
first, second overall last year. They've got a good edge rushers. They need a corner. They need a corner bad. Raiders going with Devin Witherspoon. That one's interesting to me. I don't hate that pick.
No, I
though.
don't.
I don't hate. They need talent everywhere.
Mhm.
They need
There
people
you go.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And they've got pieces on offense. Maybe they could use an O lineman. Maybe they go get Will Levis at 7. That'll be interesting. But I do love Devin Witherspoon. I think, and then pick 8, Christian Gonzalez. Christian Gonzalez and AJ Terrell together as
Yeah,
2
oh,
corners in Atlanta.
yeah,
oh, my.
That's going to be hard to throw on.
exactly.
And they
No
just signed
quarterbacks in that division, too.
Yeah.
a safety. One of the safeties from the Bengals. Didn't they go get one of their guys? I want to say they did.
Von Bell.
Von Bell?
No.
Or did they
uh,
get Jesse Bates?
I think they got Jesse Bates.
That-
to a
oh my
huge
God.
bag.
Yeah, worth it. He's a stud
They
safety.
did.
Yeah.
So there you go. Now you got AJ Terrell, Christian Gonzalez, and him in the back. That's insane.
Yeah.
I love that. Bears, Peter Skoronski. I have no problem with that pick at all.
Don't have any problem with
I like
it.
the 3 offensive linemen all about equally.
Yeah,
It's just on who
exactly.
you like the most. And I
Mhm.
think Peter Skoronski can play anywhere on the
Yeah,
offensive line.
exactly. And
Whereas-
we might need him to be able to play multiple positions. So
Yep. Whereas with Paris Johnson or
Roger Jones.
Broderick Jones,
Yeah.
you have to play them at tackle. They're not
Yeah.
guards. They're just too long of arms. They're
Yeah.
tackles.
Yeah.
And then pick 10. This is the first one I really have a problem with is Lucas Van Ness at 10 to the Eagles. I think that's a reach, man. I think that's a bit of a reach for him.
I like Lucas Van Ness because he's a plug and play on any part of your D line. He can
Mhm.
literally play any position. They did just lose a little bit on the D line. Man, I think that this is sort of a pick here because you look at who's gone in front of them with
Mhm.
Witherspoon and Gonzalez. I mean, Bijan Robinson obviously still available. Van Ness is a monster, very strong, can play both sides. It's just pure talent, really. There,
Yeah.
can he blossom in the league? But he's got really good weapons around him there on that D line as well. It's sort of a want, though. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where here they're a free pick at 10.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I wouldn't be out of this world pissed if they went with Lucas Van
No,
Ness.
it's not horrible.
I also think in front of them really hurt because I wouldn't mind seeing them taking one of these elite corners if he's there.
Same.
Witherspoon
Losing
Gonzalez,
that on
which is
Devin
just-
Witherspoon
yeah.
and Gonzalez is tough.
It'll be interesting though. I mean, could have maybe made a bigger splash, but Van Ness, we'll see. I like him though still.
Yeah.
Versatile player, can go a lot of positions there on that D line and strong, long arm. That's huge.
Yeah. Colin, what are your thoughts on those 5 picks? Anything you want to add
I
in
like
there?
those corners back to back.
Yeah.
7 and
Talk
8,
about
yeah.
Need, and you mentioned it, Terrell and Gonzalez on the same defense in that division with no really premier quarterbacks at all
Mm-mm.
throwing the ball.
Yeah, that's gonna be a no-fly zone in
Um,
Atlanta.
That'd be scary. I don't like Van Ness either to Philly, but you mentioned it. Like, what do they truly need?
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of whatever you can get and groom for their future. And you talk about Brandon Graham getting up there in age, maybe a guy you can bring in and mentor a
Yeah,
little bit,
exactly. It's a good year, Brandon Graham.
and then get 10 years out of him after Brandon
Yeah.
Graham.
I wouldn't hate this as a trade down spot for Philly,
No,
especially
no,
with Will
same.
Levis still on the
Yeah,
board.
100%,
You,
100%.
I mean, now we're talking about the Patriots maybe needing a quarterback.
Yeah.
Maybe they love Will Levis. They want to move up to 10. I could see something like
Yeah.
that happening,
Tennessee tweaking, moving up a spot.
Right.
Yeah.
Panicking, thinking someone else will jump. I could
Yeah.
see that. Although Tennessee on the board at 11 here doesn't take him. They go with Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Okay.
Okay. This one, another pick I really don't like is Nolan Smith here at 12 to Houston. And then we've got the Jets taking Paris Johnson Jr. Projected trade here at 14. Tampa Bay trading up with New England.
Okay.
Tampa Bay takes Will Levis at pick number 14. Going up and
I
getting a
don't hate
quarterback.
that.
Me neither. They desperately need a
Yeah.
QB in Tampa. And then pick 15, Green Bay going Miles Murphy. I think that's a home run pick.
Yeah.
Miles Murphy being there at 15 is crazy considering I've seen him mocked at 5 to Seattle before. I did that. But pick 14, I like that trade up. I don't know what they would have to do it. I think they pick at 19. So they're only moving up 5 spots.
Yeah.
Probably giving up a second, maybe a future 2, maybe like next year's second or a couple of thirds. But Tampa Bay needs a quarterback desperately.
Yes.
Yes, they signed Baker Mayfield. Okay, I don't think that's a needle mover.
No.
It's also a 1-year deal.
Yeah.
And then Kyle Trask probably shouldn't be in the NFL for too much longer.
No.
You know, he was a second round pick in 21. They have to keep him around, but he's a career backup if he's going to have any sort of longevity in the league. I don't hate Will Levis there, especially because they've got the weapons. They need offensive line help, but they have to reset the quarterback position at some point.
Yeah.
And they just don't have any money.
Yeah, that's the thing with Tampa Bay in the position they're in. They're almost sort of forced here to go try to go get Will Levis if he's
Especially
still
since he
available.
falls at
Yeah, I
14.
think if he's still available, they do have to go make that play because you have these weapons. You can't get rid of them. You may as well go get a guy that can potentially make plays for him. And you look at the division, it is weak. Yeah, Derek Carr in New Orleans. That's great. Let's see what he does. You know what I mean? You look at Atlanta, Desmond Ridder, all right. And then Carolina, they're gonna have a rookie quarterback there. They actually revamped a little bit better than I thought they would be able
Yeah,
to.
Carolina might be ready to ball.
So you're looking at Carolina's competition in the division, and if Levis plays well, you got weapons there. I like Jackson Smith and Jigba a little bit to Tennessee. I think they need a weapon.
They definitely need a weapon.
I think that does handcuff a little bit Houston.
Yeah.
And Nolan Smith just had the wicked combine, absolute freak. And does that get him drafted this high? Maybe. I don't dislike Houston going defense here because most of my mocks are when I talk about Houston at 12, I think they do attack defense. Even if Smith and Jigba is there, just because they are also in the scenario where they need a lot. And D'Amico Ryan's coming in, defensive guy. You got your quarterback. Let's go get a stud on defense as well. I think Paris Johnson to the Jets is absolutely a great pick.
Yeah, they need offensive line.
Especially considering that they're not going to balk. I've been saying 13. If they can hold on to 13 and still get Rodgers,
That's a big win for them.
especially if you get Paris Johnson, go keep him upright. And Miles Murphy again, 15. That's a great fall. And I mean, he might fall just because of some other people going ahead of him.
See, I would have, if I'm Houston, I'd probably taken Miles Murphy or Nolan
Yeah.
Smith personally.
I agree.
That's just me.
Yeah, no, I agree. And at 15, that'd be a great fall.
Yeah, that'd be a huge
Yeah,
pick for
100%,
Green Bay.
And I'd be pissed, but I mean, it'd be a good pick for them. And it would also make me grin though, because then it's just the tradition starting for Love now.
Yep, not gonna get you any weapons. Sorry, deal with what you got.
Yep.
Yeah. Colin, thoughts on those picks? Anything you want to add?
Interesting as well. I wouldn't mind Nolan Smith. That's what's crazy to say because it is high,
Yeah.
and I probably do like Miles Murphy more. But he did have that great combine, and
Yes.
D'Amico Ryan's coming. I really could see them going, okay, let's get our premier edge. We think if they think he's the best, they're going to take him over.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Who they think
Agreed.
second best. I think it's maybe a little reach, but I wouldn't be surprised at it. Jackson Smith and Jigba, I'm maybe a little surprised as well because Tennessee does need a weapon at the end of the day, but also they have so many more
Yeah, I
needs as
know.
well. on the
So
other
many
side of the ball.
needs.
Yeah.
So it's like, pick what I guess you need
I
more.
mean, they don't have they need a tackle too.
Yeah.
And
Right.
all of the tackles except Broderick Jones and Paris Johnson both on the board looking
Yeah,
at him. It's
true.
like, how do you not pull the trigger?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can get a wily vet receiver,
Yeah,
maybe,
right.
maybe not long term as well as a Jackson Smith and Jig, but
But it's
maybe
also
short
like
term. You
you're
could,
getting Jackson Smith and Jigba for who here? Tannehill?
Right, yeah, Tannehill, Malik Willis, who they clearly
Josh
didn't like
Dobbs.
enough. Yeah,
Yeah.
Josh Dobbs, who I think is out of the
He's
building.
gone.
Yeah, he's out of the building.
Oh,
He's
wow.
gone.
I think he might have went back to Cleveland.
He
Dude.
might have.
Yeah.
And I mean, they
Good
chose
for
to
him.
start him over Malik
Yeah.
Willis.
right.
That's crazy. So they clearly don't trust him. And Will Levis is on the board looking at you, man. It's like, man, do you pull the
Exactly.
trigger? I don't know.
So I don't know. I don't know if I like that pick all that much. But the next few after that make total
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah,
in my
agreed.
opinion.
Just kind of the way.
Tampa Bay moving up would be an absolute home run for them.
Yeah.
as you
Well, it's
mentioned.
because they need a quarterback desperately. And Will Levis feels like Tampa Bay quarterback. I could see that. I could definitely see that.
100%.
Feels like a Raider or Tampa Bay quarterback. Pick 16. This one would break a lot of people's hearts. Joey Porter Jr. to Washington. I think that's a great pick for them.
Yep, I can see that.
Pittsburgh going Broderick Jones. Yep. Detroit Lions, Bijan Robinson
Ooh.
at pick 18. So they go offense here and get a running back,
Interesting.
even though they just signed Montgomery and they still have DeAndre Swift. So that's a really good running
Was
back
Swift the
room.
first round pick? Or is he a
Second.
Second,
round?
Early second.
So he's gone soon though.
Yeah,
The day, I mean,
true.
injury bug too on
True.
him. And I mean, man, it says something that Jamal Williams is getting those carries.
Yeah.
It really does.
And I will say this is an interesting stat that McShay brings up. He said, yes, Detroit signed David Montgomery, but he's only rushed for 100 plus yards 3 times in the last 2 seasons. Robinson only had 3 games under 100 rushing yards last year. So he is a stud. I mean, I love him at 10 to the Eagles. I
Yeah.
would love that for Detroit. Pick 19, New England traded down. They take Darnell right here at 19. Great
Makes
pick for
sense.
them because they probably go offensive line at 14, pick
Yeah.
up some extra capital here and go get an offensive lineman. And then pick 20, Seattle goes Zay Flowers. That feels early for me. I'll start at 20. Zay Flowers feels early, especially when Jordan Addison's on the board and Quentin Johnson's on the board. I think those 2 guys are probably above Zay Flowers in my wide receiver
Yeah.
rankings. What do you think?
Man, I don't know what it was. Zay Flowers maybe just a little bit quicker than Jordan Addison.
Yeah,
similar
definitely quicker.
role.
Definitely quicker.
So I don't dislike it. I could see Jordan Addison being a good fit though as well. But I think Flowers maybe has gone up a little bit boards from the combine.
Mhm.
Maybe
Had a
just
really
ahead.
good combine.
I think this is the start. I obviously don't know what is about to happen, but I think a couple more receivers are coming.
Yeah.
I do love Darnell right there, and Bijan Robinson to the Lions again would piss me off.
Behind that offensive line
it would be a
too,
good pick.
man.
It would be a great pick. Love Joey Porter Jr. Tough that he's not to the Steelers, but at the end of the
Steelers,
day, man.
And the Steelers are happy with Broderick Jones.
Yeah,
I mean, that's a
100%.
fantastic consolation prize,
Yeah, oh
in
my
my
God.
opinion.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Colin,
And if
thoughts?
you're Detroit there, do you maybe think about trading
Trading
up with
back,
Washington to get a
Uh,
Joey Porter Jr. at 16, trade up two
Especially
spots?
because they passed on a corner at 6.
Right,
Take it.
shoot, it wasn't Carter.
Tyree Wilson.
Tyree
Tyree
Wilson,
Wilson.
That'd be a home
Wow.
run draft. Tyree
Wow.
Wilson
And
Joey
Bijan
Porter Jr.
and Bijan Robinson. I mean, or Bijan Robinson, whoever they think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like Bijan Robinson there just because of Montgomery and
Swift.
It's just
That just
too
doesn't
loaded.
seem like a
It's too
need.
loaded.
Yeah, that's definitely a want pick for a
But
team
then if
that
the scenario is, are the Lions looking at Bijan that in 2 years or 3 years when they're really competing, he's our true one.
He's
You know what I mean? Because
best running back in the NFL.
Montgomery's a true
That's a
backup.
good point. You
but-
can ease them the first couple years too. to
Right.
get work
Keep the
out.
legs
save
low.
save the legs.
true.
It'd be a fun pick for sure. I don't know if I like it as far as need
Yeah.
goes.
Agreed.
What else did we have? I loved, was it Broderick Jones?
Mhm.
So
The Steelers.
it was Broderick. I love that pick for them.
It's a
They need an
great pick.
offensive line bad.
I
Loud hero
don't,
sacks.
I don't like Zay Flowers at 20 either.
Me neither. Feels
Seattle
like
just
just a
doesn't-
smidge of a reach.
Another, is it a need for them?
Yeah.
Right. They've got DK. They've got Tyler Lockett. Like they just used the
Yeah.
20th pick on a guy who will be their third receiver.
Yeah.
And you look at guys still on the board. Obviously, every tight end available is still on the board. That'd be
True.
more of a need, in my
True.
opinion, than a receiver for them. A safety and Branch is still on the board. Talk about Deontay
Board.
Banks at corner still on the board.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a couple of linemen I'm missing that are still on the all D
Cyrus
tackles.
Torrance on the board. All the
Yeah.
Brian Brzee on the board. Like a ton of talent on the board to go with
It's
Zay
like,
Flowers,
I
man.
don't know about that pick there.
Yeah, that one's probably my least
Mhm.
favorite of these 5. Just I feel like I think he did have a really good combine. An official 4.42 speed. The guy can fly.
Oh, he's.
I mean, it's going to be hard to
Yeah.
cover the 3 receivers of DK, Lockett, and Zay Flowers. But I feel like if you're going to put someone in the slot, go with Jordan Addison.
Yeah.
He's a route running
Yeah.
technician, man. He's gonna
Mhm.
get open. I like him more than I like Zay Flowers, but that one's tough. This pick, oh my God, this really surprised me. Wow. Pick 21, the Chargers, Cal Kansey
Okay.
over a weapon. Pick 22, Baltimore goes Quentin Johnston. Yep. Pick 23, Minnesota Vikings, Hendon Hooker, QB. Pick 24, Jacksonville gets the first tight end off the board with Dalton Kincaid. And pick 25, the Giants go with Emmanuel Forbes, cornerback out of Mississippi State.
Who's 23? Sorry.
23 is Hendon Hooker
To who though?
to Minnesota.
Minnesota.
It was
Yeah.
22, I'm sorry.
22 is Quentin Johnston to Baltimore, and 21 is Cal Kansey to the Chargers. I don't hate that after looking at it a little bit more.
Yeah.
I mean, Mike Williams and Keenan Allen still will get the job done.
Right.
They're not bad, but you do want to get younger. But Cal Kansey does have a crazy combine, and maybe they just can't help themselves but make that comp to Aaron
Yeah.
Donald. They're like undersized Pittsburgh defensive tackle, freak athlete. Is he Aaron Donald? I don't know. And they had a terrible run defense.
Yeah.
They need a defense. Maybe they are praying Jalen Carter falls.
I think with them, because Keenan
Oh.
Allen is back there.
Uh-huh.
So I think
Yeah, they brought it
yeah,
back.
so I think they don't go weapon here as much as we were talking about it in the offseason, just
Mhm.
because they did bring back what they've got. And Bijan Robinson would be interesting here if he falls.
Yeah, it would. Yeah,
If
it
he
would.
falls.
If he's there
But
for them.
I like this pick though. D-Tac, like you said, need there.
Yep. That's a need over a want. In my
Love
opinion.
Quentin Johnston to
Yep,
Baltimore.
same,
Absolutely need it,
same.
regardless if he's QB.
Yep.
And then Hooker to Minnesota. He ain't getting out of the first round based on
No,
reports
I don't
that are
think he is
coming out
either.
now.
I don't think
And
he's either.
this talk Kirk Cousins to the 49ers. So get him
Got
out
it,
of town
got it.
early. And I can't lie, Kirk Cousins on the 49ers, I think would be scary.
Yeah, agreed.
I think that'd be scary because he can do it.
Yeah.
But is the line good enough? Well, guess what? In San Fran it is. Is the
It's
run
the
game good
defense,
enough?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
San Fran
Everything
it
Kirk
is.
Cousins, you put him on a team like that, he might be good enough
do
to win them
something
a
there.
Super Bowl. And Hendon Hooker, I mean, he balled when he was healthy.
Yeah, looked
Tore
good.
his ACL, but I mean, that's not as big of a deal as it once was.
Yeah.
I mean, I like that for Minnesota because they need something. They
Yeah.
need some hope
They
because
did.
if Hooker misses, all right, you know what I mean? Because we have to blow it up anyway, pretty
Right.
much. But if he doesn't, that's a good pick. You can get right there at 23.
Agreed. The only real knock against Hendon Hooker, I would say, is that he's 25.
Yeah.
Older than a lot of quarterbacks that have been starting in the league for a
Yeah,
few years.
yeah.
But at the same time, like you're as a GM, I heard someone made this point, and it's a fantastic point. As an NFL GM, I'm not drafting for 10 years from now. I could give a shit less what the
No.
team's doing in 10 years. I'm
Yeah.
drafting for my
Now.
job in
Yeah,
3
exactly.
years.
Yeah.
If Hendon Hooker is going to be good for the next 25, 26, 27 year season, that's great news
And
for
you'd
me.
like to-
I'll figure it out.
You'd like to think with Hendon being a little bit older,
A little more
maybe
mature coming
a little
in.
bit more experience,
Mhm.
be able to adapt quicker to the league. And at the end of the day, if they're getting rid of Kirk, you need somebody that can step in, and you got a 25-year-old stepping in, can maybe take charge of that locker room as well.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, he played very well last year.
Yeah.
I mean, Tennessee was rolling before he got hurt.
Yeah, they were awesome.
So,
I mean,
I
the
mean,
tape
I
is
did enjoy
phenomenal
it,
on
but it's
Hendon
like-
Hooker.
Still, it's
Led the
yeah.
nation in QBR with an 89.5. That's on a scale of 0 to 100.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. He was really, really good this past year for Tennessee. So I don't hate that pick. I don't hate that pick at all. Some people have him. Mike Tannenbaum. What a
Oh
first of
my
all,
God.
idiot,
Yeah.
Mike.
Yeah.
Sorry, maybe you're a good guy. I hate you. Always will hate you
Yeah.
because of what you did in Miami. But he had Hendon Hooker at 5 to Seattle.
yeah.
That blew
no
my mind.
chance.
That blew my mind. But moving on, we can
That's
maybe we
insanity.
can react to his later because that one's messed up. Dalton Kincaid to Jacksonville. I don't hate that either. They franchise tagged Devin Ingram, so it's only a 1-year thing. Dalton Kincaid's probably the most well-rounded tight end of this draft class. I don't hate that at all. His tape against Utah, or no, against it was against USC,
Yeah.
wasn't it? Where he had like 19 catches. That's an insane
Yeah.
game from a tight end. I mean, they just kept going to him, and the guy's a beast. I could definitely see him being drafted over Michael Mayer and Darnell Washington.
I was just saying, you got to pick of the litter right there. with all
Yeah,
three.
they really
No,
do.
and
All
you
three
can't
of
go
them are
wrong.
falling.
Can't go
No,
wrong.
it's a win.
Yeah.
And then 25, Emmanuel Forbes, Mississippi State. I don't hate that. But Jordan Addison's on the board.
Yeah.
Giants, what are we doing? Get a weapon, please. Get a weapon for Daniel Jones, for the love of God, man.
Yeah.
As a Cowboys fan, and if I didn't like the NFC East, I'd be okay with that pick. Forbes could be good. He reminds me of Eli Apple.
Yeah.
And Eli Apple flopped in New York. But
No, I agree. I think
Oh,
weapon
thoughts?
here. Yeah, I think
Weapon
big
has
weapon.
to be
here.
a-
I'm just saying they just got Darren Waller's tight end might be out of the
Yeah, great.
equation, but I agree. I think with the plethora of receivers that are still available, I do think Jordan Addison would be a great fit here,
Mhm.
especially if he's fallen this far. And yeah, I mean,
don't
Forbes
let it
could
get
be a
to
good
Kansas
pick.
City.
I mean, he's a playmaker on the ball,
Yeah,
and they need help on defense as well. But the defense was somewhat a strong point as well last year for New York. It was decent. I mean, they were just a pretty overall decent squad.
Yeah.
I think a weapon would really help though too, because then you have Waller, you have Jordan Addison, you have all the people you brought back, Slayton. Yeah, I mean, that's tough. Would love to see New York take the weapon, but at the end of the day, Forbes is a playmaker. You can sort of get it, but I disagree with that pick as well.
Yeah. But the other picks, I don't mind them so much, like
No,
we all said.
no.
Moving on, Dallas. Oh, we lost Dalton Schultz, Michael Mayer. Picked
Oh,
up by
wow.
Dallas here.
Interesting.
Interesting pick. We'll get to it. Buffalo Bills, this one, Jordan Addison, Buffalo. That's awful news. I'll just get finish the draft here. And then 28, Cincinnati goes Deontay Banks, corner. Interesting that they don't go Darnell Washington here. I could see them going tight end. 29, Saints going Adetomiwa Adebaware out of Northwestern, defensive end. They did just lose, Davenport and all these other guys, and they're going to continue losing people. Philadelphia going Will McDonald IV, defensive end out of Iowa State. And then pick 31, Kansas City going Felix Anadike Uzoma, defensive end out of Kansas State. So kind of a run there on edge rushers, defensive tackles. Really a bunch of defensive picks here, other than Dallas taking Michael Mayer and then Bills going Jordan Addison. Colin, what are your thoughts on that pick for Dallas?
Oh, I don't know how to feel about that because that could be a home run pick if
Could be a
looking
great
at it
pick.
a couple years down the road,
Mhm.
or even plug and play next year.
Next year
arguably.
starter, absolutely.
I don't know. I'd rather get a lineman there.
Osiris Torrance still on the board.
Siren Store, Cal Cansey's gone, but
Yep.
Brian Breezy's still on the
Brian
board.
Brzee
I
there.
would love to have him at
Yeah.
D tackle. Interesting pick.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about it. I'd probably be okay with it at the end of the day.
Would you rather Michael Mayer or Jordan Addison at 26?
Michael Mayer, just
Yeah.
because they just got Cooks, Brandon
Yeah.
Cooks. If
Okay.
they didn't trade for Brandon Cooks and it was just CD Lamb with a whole bunch of misfits, I'd probably say Jordan Addison.
Sure.
But since they got Brandon Cooks, I feel comfortable with him as being a.
I
strong
almost
enough
think
receiver
that
too.
if one of these tight ends is there, I would almost think it's a lock that they
Yeah,
go tight end.
I agree.
I
I
might
think so
even go
too.
hammer Cowboys first pick tight
Tight
end,
end.
just because I think the replacement of Schultz. I understand the two guys behind him played well, Hendershot and what's the other guy?
Ferguson.
Yeah, they played well, but it's Myers at number one. He can come in and
Right.
replace Schultz, be a guy that can play block as well. He's physical. Notre Dame tight ends normally paying out in the league. Cole Kmet, let's just say it.
Call it what it is.
Let's just say how it is, baby. I do love Jordan Addison to the Bills. I think they're attacking slot receiver here. Osiris Torrance, we all mocked him to pretty much everybody from 25 down,
Down to
maybe 26 down. But I like Jordan Addison. I think they attack. I like getting another weapon there that is a constant guy on the field. You don't have
Hate
to
it.
switch it up.
Yep.
Don't have to have another guy, Shakir. Oh, then it's gonna be somebody else stepping up. No, let's go get Diggs and Davis, somebody else that's underneath them both, getting wide open. I love Jordan Addison here. I think this is pretty accurate in my opinion. I don't know.
You think he drops to 27?
I think he might drop a little bit.
Yeah.
I just think the receivers in general, I know I've always been saying it. I think they took a hit at the combine pretty bad. And hey, Mcshay must agree because he's got what, 3 going in the first round? Four. I mean, that's still pretty high.
Not bad.
It's
4 of
still
30,
pretty good,
4 of 31.
but far apart. And I thought it
Yeah.
would be a run.
I mean,
but
this receiver class is not like the last 3
No,
receiver
no.
classes.
it's still going to be good
It's
though.
still gonna be solid, I think.
I think there's
It's a lot
a
of
bunch
slot
of good
guys.
receivers.
It's a bunch of
There's
smaller
good
slot receivers in this draft class.
I like the rest of the picks. I mean, interesting that Cincinnati doesn't go tight end, I think,
Yeah.
as well, especially if, you know, it
They do
depends
need
on.
secondary.
Yeah,
though. I'm
they do
surprised
as
this
well.
isn't Brian Branch. Because they just lost Jesse Bates and Von Bell.
Sure, I mean, maybe he's taken harder a hit in GM's eyes than we
guess.
all think.
His
You know what I
combine was
mean?
bad.
Yeah.
God, he's good.
Yeah, I mean, D ends and the first, not a bad position though.
No.
You're getting a first round guy, get an extra year on his contract potentially, a DN, big edge rusher.
Yeah.
So I like to see the run and edge rushers there at the end of the first round.
I am interested about the Eagles.
Yeah.
They went Van Ness at 10, and then they doubled down and go Will McDonald the 4th at 30.
I will say
they
think
love
they
their
know
like Howie loves his linemen.
that D line is pretty much going to be gone in a couple of years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All those guys that were there, Fletcher Cox is soon to be gone. Brandon Graham will be soon to be gone. Hargrave is gone. You know what I mean? How long? Hassan Reddick, you know, I don't remember what he signed a deal there, but I'm sure it wasn't long off of a cut, you know what I mean, from Arizona. So you're talking, we might have to revamp this through the draft. We might not be able to afford some of these guys considering we got to pay Jalen Hurts $50 million.
Yeah.
Can't afford Hassan Reddick if he goes out and goes crazy again. So you have to revamp a little bit with these young guys, get them in, get them underneath, get a little experience before they're fully out there. Not the worst case. And at the end of the day, like we said, they're want picks here.
Yeah.
'Cause what
these
does
are
what
the
does
best
Philly need?
teams. Yeah.
You know, maybe running back, if Rajon's there at 10, they do consider it. But then you also look at 30, maybe they go Gibb.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so who knows? It's interesting, but I like the defensive revamp because you're going to lose that line. You're going to lose the line eventually, and it was the biggest part of their team last year. So their offense was monstrous, but that defensive line having the second most sacks ever. I mean, come on, pretty important. Yeah.
Yeah. Any extra thoughts you got there, Colin, for those last few picks?
Interesting, like you said, Eagles. I do think they already have a lot of depth if they lose
Yeah.
those guys because if they
Mhm.
draft Van Ness, as you know, Brandon Graham's
Yeah,
replacement
true.
right there. Reddick, if you lose him, they still have Sweat on that
Yeah,
side.
right,
He's
yeah.
fairly young. They have Jordan
Inside,
Davis in the middle.
Jordan
So
Davis,
maybe
maybe.
they're thinking of McDonald, slide him maybe to
Yeah.
more of a D tackle role.
I'm assuming that's where they'll put Van Ness is more of a DT role.
Okay,
And then I guess use
McDonald.
McDonald as the
Yeah.
edge rusher.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an
Either
interesting,
way, I think one of those
interesting
guys
mock
would have to
there.
Slide to the interior.
Yeah.
line
Agreed.
If you're to draft both.
It'll be interesting.
Yeah. And then in this draft, he does have some big second round picks, and I'm just going to kind of touch on a few of them. He's got Jalen Hyatt at 33 to Houston.
Okay.
I love
Love
that pick.
Love that.
They missed a wide receiver in the second pick of the first round, went with a defensive player. Other guys that I see falling here, Keely Ringo at 36 to the Rams. They just lost Jalen Ramsey, so they need a corner. I like that one. 38, Vegas, love this. Brian Brzee
Love
at
that.
38.
Love
That's
that.
a steal
Love
right there. And then the Panthers get a steal. Osiris Torrance at 39.
Oh yeah.
That's fantastic. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's a dope
great
pick.
pick. They need everything. 40, this one makes me sad. Darnell Washington goes to the Saints. Just another weapon for Derek Carr in that offense. I like that. Let's see, other big ones here. We've got pick 43, the Jets, Brian Branch.
Ooh.
That might be my
Oh,
favorite
Yeah,
pick of the whole
that's
draft.
It's an
That's a good
absolute
pick,
steal.
yeah.
That's insane at
Absolute
43.
steal.
Absolutely insane value. Green Bay goes tight end at 45, Luke Musgrave out of Oregon
Okay.
State. I don't hate that. They need a weapon.
Mhm.
I really like this pick for the Patriots. God dang it. DJ Turner out of Michigan.
Oh man.
Combine warrior.
Combine warrior.
People I saw, and you know, take this for what it's worth because it's Chris Sims, and I don't like a lot of things
No,
that
I
he
hate
says.
Chris Sims.
He had DJ Turner in tier 1 corners with Christian Gonzalez and Devin Witherspoon. Those were his top 3 corners in this draft. And I will say this, looking at some of his past things, like he was posting, I've just been listening to him talk, and he's pretty accurate with some of these. He likes guys over other guys that ends up working out. He's got Pittsburgh Steelers getting Cam Smith at 49.
Ooh.
He's a first round talent, in my
Yeah.
opinion, at 49. This draft is so deep.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, Anton Harrison at 50. I
Love
like
that.
that. I like the Dolphins going DeJuan Jones at 51. Other big ones, Bears going Zach Charbonnet at
Okay.
53. Great pick. Let's see, any other big names I'm missing here? Josh Downs to the Giants at 57. That's
Love that.
super good
Love
for
that.
them. Cowboys, Trenton Simpson, linebacker. I like that pick at 58. And let's see here. Really, that's Antonio Johnson, safety out of Texas A&M, going at 62 to the Eagles. That's a great pick
Yeah.
too.
I know.
Man, this draft is so deep. There's
super
so much
talented
talent.
people.
Yeah, it is
Starters,
of
yeah.
starting players. Yeah, I like what Todd Mcshay did for a lot of these. Honestly, I think my least favorite pick is Van Ness at 10, just because I think with Bijan Robinson on the board there, if they got that's a want pick for them in their offense behind that offensive line. I think that'd be awesome
Yeah,
to
it would.
see. I really don't like either Smith and Jigba at 11 to the Titans. I think they've got so many other holes,
Yeah,
but they also are, they drafted Treylon Burks in the first round last year. Do they go another wide receiver? I think Smith and Jigba's the best of the bunch,
oh yeah,
but 11 feels early. Maybe they try and trade down or go tackle there.
it'll be interesting.
I don't know. But nice job, Todd. Keep watching the show because obviously he does because he traded up
Yeah,
for the
100%.
Colts to 3. But
We'll
any
get to
other?
see him there in person.
Yeah, I know. I can't.
Like,
wait.
God, we're the same mock draft.
Yeah, we're gonna. Oh, I got a QR code made for our show, so
Oh,
it
yeah.
goes right to our YouTube
I
page.
love that.
So I'm gonna have flyers, hand them out to everybody.
Nice.